Let's go, Falcons fans. The offseason is getting exciting, and a new free agent target could be the perfect budget-friendly addition to Atlanta's defense. Let's dive into the details. But first, don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss any updates on the Falcons' latest moves. Atlanta needs help on defense, and there's an affordable option available. We all know the Falcons have big decisions to make this offseason, especially with the Kirk Cousins situation. But while the quarterback drama takes the spotlight, let's not ignore another big problem: fixing the defense. Last season, the Falcons ranked 19th in yards allowed per play and 23rd in scoring defense. The front seven took a lot of criticism, but the secondary also struggled, allowing 6.3 yards per pass attempt. That's why signing an experienced cornerback should be a top priority for Atlanta. And guess what? A great bargain just hit the market. Kendall Fuller, a smart, low-cost target for Atlanta. In a surprise move, the Miami Dolphins released veteran cornerback Kendall Fuller. This makes him a perfect target for the Falcons. Fuller, 30, has been in the league since 2016, playing for Washington, Kansas City, and Miami. He's a steady and reliable defensive back with 10 interceptions over the last 4 years with Washington. Could he be the missing piece for Atlanta's defense? Let's talk about it. Before joining the Dolphins, Kendall Fuller was a top-tier cornerback. But let's be honest, he's not the same all-pro player he once was. Last season, he didn't grab an interception, but he still did a solid job. He allowed just 316 yards and 1 touchdown when targeted, holding quarterbacks to a 62.8% completion rate. With A.J. Terrell locked in as the Falcons' top cornerback, the team still needs more depth. D. Alford might return, but adding Fuller would bring experience and stability to the secondary, without a huge price tag. Can the Falcons afford him? Here's where things get interesting. Fuller made only $2.5 million with the Dolphins last season. That's exactly the kind of budget-friendly deal the Falcons need right now. Atlanta is currently $11.1 million over the salary cap. And if they cut Kirk Cousins as expected, they'll take a massive $65 million dead cap hit, plus a $25 million penalty. Not ideal. That's why signing a veteran like Fuller makes perfect sense. He's a low-risk, high-reward player who can improve the defense without hurting the team financially. What do you think, Falcons fans? Should the Falcons go after Kendall Fuller and add some much-needed depth at cornerback? Or should they look elsewhere for defensive help? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Now, let's talk about a scenario that might send chills down your spine. What if the Falcons hadn't drafted Michael Penix Jr.? Where would the Falcons be right now if they hadn't picked Michael Penix Jr.? Let's be real. Penix is the only thing keeping this fan base from losing its mind. His raw talent and electric performances in the final games of the season gave fans something they haven't had in years: hope. But what if Atlanta had made a different choice on draft night? Things would look completely different, and much worse. Let's start with Kirk Cousins. If the Falcons hadn't taken Penix, Cousins would have played all 17 games. And, let's be honest, the offense probably would have struggled just like it did all season. Even with Cousins, it's hard to imagine a different outcome. Atlanta still would have missed the playoffs for the 7th straight year. But here's where things really get messy. Without a young quarterback ready to step in, the Falcons would have no choice but to stick with Cousins as their starter in 2025. Sure, he'd have time to recover from his injury, but let's be honest. Another year of Kirk Cousins? No thanks. How excited would you be for another season with Cousins as QB1? Probably not very. The Falcons would be stuck in the same cycle of mediocrity. Not bad enough to get a top draft pick, but not good enough to compete for a Super Bowl. And that's the real problem. It's not just about 2025. It's about the future of this franchise. Remember what Terry Fontenot said after the draft? The Falcons weren't bad enough to land a top quarterback in the future. Without Penix, Atlanta would be in the worst position possible. Good enough to miss out on elite QB prospects, but not good enough to win big. No franchise quarterback. No playoff appearances. No salary cap space. Just endless frustration for the fans. Instead, the Falcons took a chance, and now there's real hope. Penix could be the star this team has been waiting for. And, as we all know, if you have a superstar quarterback, you have a chance to make a deep playoff run. What do you think, Falcons fans? How different would this offseason have been if the Falcons hadn't drafted Michael Penix Jr.? Do you believe in the team's future? Or do you think they're still lost? Let us know in the comments. Now, let's talk about two key players who could make a big impact in 2025, Brandon Tice and DeMarco Hellams. These two were ready to step up last season before injuries in the first preseason game took them out for the year. How will they fit into Atlanta's defense? As Brandon Tice and DeMarco Hellams prepare to return, the big question is, how will they fit into this defense? Let's break it down. Brandon Tice, the X Factor. Off the edge, let's start with Brandon Tice, Atlanta's third-round pick in 2024. If there's one word to describe him, it's relentless. In training camp, he showed flashes of being a dominant pass rusher, the same guy who was Washington's defensive MVP in 2022. Even Falcons GM Terry Fontano has been hyping him up, praising his power, motor, and ability to stop both the run and the pass. And let's be real, Atlanta needs someone like that. The defensive front finished last season strong, ranking 11th in yards allowed per game, second in sacks per pass attempt, weeks 13 to 18. But the pass rush is still a question mark. Arnold Ebiketie got hot late in the season with 5 sacks in the last 6 games, but Atlanta still lacks a consistent pass rusher on the other side. If Tice can step up, this Falcons pass rush could finally take the leap we've all been waiting for. Pairing him with Ebiketie and letting inside guys like Rukor Horhoro and David Onyemata create chaos up front could turn this D-line into one of the best Atlanta has had in years. DeMarco Hellams. The answer at safety. Now, let's talk about DeMarco Hellams. This guy was on track to play a major role in 2024. He worked with the first-team defense in training camp and even started 4 of the last 6 games in his rookie year. Can DeMarco Hellams step up at safety? With Justin Simmons set to hit free agency, the Falcons need to figure out who will line up next to Jesse Bates III. Could DeMarco Hellams be that guy? Coaches love his football IQ. Even while injured, he stayed fully involved, studying film, learning assignments, and keeping up with defensive meetings. Assistant coach Jerry Gray even said Hellams was still preparing like a starter even though he couldn't play. That kind of dedication could pay off big if the Falcons trust him to start all 17 games in 2025. The big question: are they ready? Here's the bottom line. Brandon Tice and DeMarco Hellams could be key pieces of Atlanta's defense, but there are still some big questions. Can Tice step up and give the Falcons a real pass-rushing duo with Arnold Ebiketie? Can Hellams take over at safety if Simmons leaves? If the Falcons believe in these two, they could focus on other defensive needs in free agency and the draft. But if they're not sure, we might see some new faces brought in. What do you think, Falcons fans? Are Tice and Hellams ready to step up and play a big role in 2025? Or do the Falcons need to add more talent on defense? Let us know in the comments. And before you go, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more Falcons news, and as always, rise up.